What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Hope you guys are all having a great day today. I am so stoked for these babies right here. These are the NN Skates Sumo frames. This is NN Skates' biggest frame. It is a beast. It's a 4x110 millimeter frame. NN Skates is a frame company that creates V-rockered frames. And what V-rockered is basically a frame that has a rocker, or the wheels in a rocker of a shape of a V. They recently came out with a new version of their V-rocker, which is called the V.M. V.M is what these bad boys are. All that really means is instead of just having the wheels come to a certain point or just rocker come to one wheel, the rocker is actually kind of rockered in two places. So it's more of a progressive banana rocker. So it's more of a U, I would say, or a 2-point rocker system. I really liked it on the Ronin frame of theirs. Before I go too far, I do want to be totally transparent and let you guys know that NN Skates sent me these frames for review. I almost feel bad getting these frames for review just because these are such high quality, beautiful pieces of equipment. But again, I'm really thankful for everything I get so that I can test it out and bring it to you guys and let you guys know what it's all about. A big reason that I wanted to get on the 110 versions of their frames, it's just basically the big brothers of those Ronins I've been on, and if you haven't seen the review, go check it out. I am in love with those Ronin frames. They are my favorite frames I've ever been on, period. I can't get enough of them. They're so much fun to ride. The Ronins felt to me like almost skiing on land. They were a bigger, longer frame with nice big wheels, smooth rolling, but still had great maneuverability. I just want to see how far I could stretch that to make it feel even more like a ski. So that's why I really want to get on these. The second reason I really want to get on these is because Rollerblade was also super kind, super supportive of this channel. Thank you so much, Rollerblade. They actually sent me these new Hydrogen Pro wheels, these 110s right here. If you guys don't know, these are like a $200 set of wheels. So I basically said, I need something that I can use all 8 of these wheels on and not waste 2 of these wheels on, like I say, a 3x110, which is the only setup I'd be able to use them on. So, you know, I didn't want to waste these wheels and I want to get the full feel out of these wheels. So that was another big reason I wanted to jump on some Sumos. Yeah, so let's take a look at this frame. I mean, right off the bat, this thing is huge. Look at this thing. It's like literally longer than about the size of my forearm to my fingertip. This thing's massive. I feel like there's just this little kid in me that's just like giddy with joy seeing a frame and a wheel setup this big. It's just awesome to me. Again, they got the race axles in them because it is a nice aluminum frame. It is the 6061 aerospace or aircraft grade aluminum. Most metal frames are made out of this. Great, solid, sturdy material with great power transfer. Same design as pretty much all their other frames on the NN Skate line. On top of that, they have the lateral adjustments in here if you need to kind of tweak it. It's a 165 mount, so it's the raised heel, but they also have, I believe it's the 195 mount. So they have those 2 mounts for your 2-point mounting boots. So on top of that, I have the black bottle. This is a powder coated black, so yes, they will scratch. I just really enjoy the black. I think it's pretty dope. They also come in a bare aluminum model, so you have options there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rocker real quick. So like I said before, NN Skates has 2 rocker systems. They have the V-rocker and the V.M. The V-rocker in these frames, this would be the wheel down, the 3rd wheel down. And so basically the V would go like this. So this wheel would be up, so it'd go down to a point here, and then these would be gradually going to this wheel here. So that's your V in these ones. Since these are the V.Ms, there's 2 rocker points basically, and it's on both of these wheels. If I'm putting pressure on this back here, only these back 2 wheels are actually rolling right now. I don't know. If I put pressure on these center 2 wheels, only the center 2 wheels should be rolling. There you go, the middle 2 wheels are rolling there. And if I push on the front 2, only the front 2s are rolling. And that's the VM rocker. I enjoy it. I just like the more gradual, progressive rocker. One thing I missed real quick, these frames from end to end are 333 millimeters long. That's a really long frame. I think that's the longest frame I've been on. I'm not sure if the Dragons are longer, but I don't think so. These things are basically made for the marathon skater or the racer, speed skater. These things are designed to go fast. These bad boys come in a 100 millimeter, a 110, and a 125. And in each of those sizes, they actually have firms, which is the softest ones are, I think, an 80A. These guys are basically the equivalent of like an 85A. And then the XX firm are an 87, 88A, I believe. Right next to that, I don't know if you can see in the close-up here, but there's something, little logo that says M-Tech. This technology basically represents the dual pore urethane that you can find in these wheels. And that is what basically separates these bad boys from a regular hydrogen wheel. There's two layers of urethane in here, two different types of urethane. There's an inner urethane that is actually a softer urethane, and the outer urethane is harder. So what that does is the inner part can squeeze down or can kind of flex so you get more grip coverage while still remaining a harder outside urethane so that the wear and the shape holds up for speed. On top of all that, the spoke or the core, the hub part of this wheel is a different design as well than you've probably seen. The actual spokes are kind of angled and flared almost like a fan. I believe that is also helps torsional rigidity, so they stay stronger and stiffer under cornering and stuff like that. Basically creates a wheel that is just the most responsive, best wheel that you can pretty much buy, at least that Rollerblade makes. Those of you that are fluent in the speed race marathon wheel world might have noticed that there's a little logo down here that says powered by MPC wheels. MPC is a wheel company that specializes in speed skating wheels. For all intents and purposes, this is really an MPC wheel with Rollerblade logo and the Hydrogen Pro branding on it. So I'm really excited and hoping that these are gonna perform amazing for me. The only thing I'm really worried about is I might love these a little too much. I'm really happy to see Rollerblade reach out to companies like MPC to help them design and create a wheel of this caliber. I think collaborations are an amazing thing in every aspect of life. So I seem to think that this is gonna be no different. As far as I know, I'm no wheel expert. These are probably the best wheels I've ever put on a skate in my life, and I'm super excited to test them out and see if, just someone that's just kind of goofing around like I am can tell a difference between, say, a 110 millimeter hydrogen to the 110 millimeter Hydrogen Pro. I really want to start doing some more marathon or long distance skates. Right now I'm really only probably doing 6 to 8 miles on any given skate. I would love to start getting up into that 20-mile range, at least the teens. That's why I really want to give these a shot, because I felt like this was a good excuse to review a product like this, as well as really give me some inspiration to get out there and push myself for doing some longer skates. And lastly, really quick, I have to just do a quick shout out. I paired these with the Twin Cam ILQ9 Pro bearings from Rollerblade. These are some of my favorite bearings. I put these in all of my big wheel skates. I just love them. Their $50 price point it's not cheap, but it's not ridiculously expensive. And the roll and performance you get on these things, it's great for the dollar. So yeah, that's enough talking. I'm really excited to see how these guys perform. So let's throw these things back on my skates and go for a roll. what do I think about these frames and wheels? Well, let's find out, starting with the pros. So the first up, let's talk about the frames. The pros for these frames are, like all the NN Skates products, these frames are a great looking design, as well as using that high quality materials, which is that 6061 T6 aerospace aluminum. It's a CNC machine frame. It's just great quality material and design for a frame to be super lightweight as well as strong. And on top of that, that strength goes into our second pro, which is these just have amazing power transfer. Of course, they're aluminum frames, so they just feel really, really good. The third pro about these frames are just the fact that how stable they are. They have a 333 millimeter frame length, which is huge, which makes for an amazing wheelbase platform for bombing hills and landing jumps and just feeling like there's just no way of you falling over on these bad boys. It's an amazing platform. So the next pro, these things are fast and smooth as you can get. Well, I guess not. If you had a 125 frame, that might be a little bit faster and smoother. But that being said, these things are so smooth and so fast. The momentum that you can get with these as you're rolling doesn't dissipate really quickly. I mean, you can keep that momentum going so easily. It's just effortless skating. As well as, I basically took these things on almost every type of smooth concrete all the way to kind of gritty, gravelly almost concrete. And almost all of those platforms just felt so smooth, and these just glided over them with ease. So the last pro for these is the fact that they have such an amazing deep carving performance. I know I said with the Ronin frames that those were amazing on deep carves, which they are, but this just takes it just a little bit better, because I think it's because that height of the wheel just allows you to get down on edge, and just that a little more angle, just you can get just the feeling of holding a hard carve as you're cruising down a hill. Oh, it's second to none. I love that being a skier, so this is a huge pro for me. All right, so those are the pros. Let's check out the cons. So for the first con for this frame, like the Ronin one, is the length. And this time I feel like the length was a little more of a con than with the Ronin, because it is a bit longer, and that extra length just makes it feel ever so slightly more clunky, and it just pushed it over the edge for me, at least. It felt like it got in the way a little bit more than I would typically want it to if I'm not just skating in straight lines or just going for a long cruiser. That being said, I think if I spent as much time on these frames as I did on my Ronins, I would get more used to it. And to kind of piggyback on that long frame, the second con would have to be the frame, well, the setup weight. The frame really doesn't weigh that much. It's heavier than, say, like a 4x80 aluminum frame. There's just more material, but that really, once it's on a skate, doesn't make the frame or the skate heavy. What makes the skate heavy is the amount of wheels and the wheel size. That urethane having 410 millimeter wheels on a setup, that's what's gonna add your weight. These were pretty weighty. And while weight, I don't think matters if I'm cruising down hills or just going for a long like cruiser fitness skate. Where it did matter, I found, was when I was doing kind of like jumps or spins or just, anything that I'm leaving the ground or trying to do quick little maneuvers on the ground felt a little bit more cumbersome because of the weight. But I think heavy kind of is a good thing if you're staying on the ground and you're just skating. The next con does come with the fact that it is a longer frame, and that is you're not going to be able to make those super tight hard carved turns on a dime under some speed. I kept getting caught almost, like, because I was trying to carve so tight and hard. They just felt long. You don't want to force these into tight turns. These have a longer turn radius, so just be aware of that. It just makes sense. The longer your frame is, the longer your turn radius is going to be. That being said, it is still a rockered frame, so these do turn very easily, and they do have a much shorter turn radius than they would if, say, they're a flat 4x100 frame. And the last con is just the fact that if you're going to the 110 to 125 size, like, I think 100 is probably fine in terms of wheel height, but once you get to that 110 mark and more, the height of the wheel and frame is so much taller that it's putting a lot more strain on those frame bolts. And my frames came loose more often than on my other setups that were smaller. I've noticed this on other 110 setups when I'm doing jumps and being really hard, like doing slides and pushing turns and jumping off stuff and just being really hard on my gear. A 110 setup or even a 125, those taller frame setups are going to, really put more stress and pressure on those frame bolts and potentially loosen them up more. So I think it's a con just because I don't like stopping and taking off my skate to tighten up my frame bolts. That being said, I might be able to put some Loctite on those frame bolts or something, and they might stay tight, but that's just what I found. So that's what the frames are all about. Let's check out the wheels, starting with the pros. So right off the bat, these things, like I said, are marathon speed skating wheels. These things are fast. They're quick. They just want to roll. And I think that's because of the race profile, as well as that dual pore urethane M-Tech, where the outer is so is a lot harder with that race profile that it's just ready to go. It's fast, it rolls. The second pro, these have a really solid holder grip when you're ripping down hills and you're getting on those deep carving turns like I was talking about. Because of that, again, that dual pore urethane, the inner part of that urethane is a softer urethane, so it allows that wheel to kind of squeeze and stretch. So when you're going on edge, you're getting to be able to have more contact with that wheel because it's kind of flexing in order to get as much wheel surface area coverage on the ground to keep that grip. Really great performance. I was thoroughly impressed with what I was sticking to as I was bombing down hills on some pretty sharp edges. Another pro is the fact that the outer urethane is very hard, so the durability factor of these wheels is really high. So I've only been on them for a couple of weeks now, but I imagine these would last you a good long time. And the last pro for these wheels, they just feel springy and alive, and there's just something about them. Like, the energy transfer is really amazing. You can kind of feel a little bit of what I'm talking about. Say if you took kind of a lower end wheel that's softer and just feels slower and sluggish and dead almost, and then you put on a little higher end wheel that is a little better urethane, better pore, better hub, better, just a better wheel. You can feel that difference. Just take that and then just amplify it to the next level, and that's what these feel like. All right, so that's the pros with the wheels. Let's check out the cons. All right, so I'm not a wheel expert. Wheels are a very subtle thing, and I can tell a lot about wheels, but I'm no, wheel professional. I honestly didn't really find anything I really didn't like about these wheels. The only thing I would say in my personal vision of what would be a con to these would be the price. These are, I believe, $180 for an 8-pack of them. Yeah, it's a lot of money. $200 basically for a set of wheels is no small barrier to entry. But that being said, another set of 8 110 wheels would cost you anywhere from 100 to 125-ish range anyways. So another 50, $80. I would say they're worth that. I would totally say they're worth that. So yeah. That's the only cons I could find with these guys. All right, so who are these frames for? I'm gonna say these frames are for the intermediate to advanced free skater that is looking for a frame to just go on big wheel cruises that doesn't compromise much on agility. So who are these wheels for? I'm gonna say maybe some intermediate, but mostly advanced skaters that are out there looking for a fast, responsive, consistent race wheel to go on some long cruises like marathon skates or just fitness training, as well as someone that has the budget for them. So who are these frames not for? I'm gonna go ahead and say these frames, again, are not for the beginners, just because there's just too much wheel length, too much weight. It just, also as well as height, it's a little bit more wobbly if you're not used to skating yet. So they're not for the beginners, as well as they're not for people with smaller feet. That being said, yes, you might be an anomaly and might be okay with a smaller foot on them, But if you do have a smaller foot and want to have a very similar experience, I would say look to the NN Skate Ronin frames, which are the 4x100, or look to the NN Skate Ninja frames, which are the 4x90. So who are these wheels not for? I'm gonna say these wheels, again, aren't for the beginners and maybe even some intermediates. Those people really aren't gonna pick up on some of the subtleties that are so amazing about these wheels. The price just doesn't make it worth it for them. So all in all, I've just really enjoyed my time on this setup. It's been a lot of fun. The Sumo frames are an amazing frame if you just want to get out there and go for a long fitness or cruiser skate, but at the same time you don't want to lose that playful, nimble maneuverability. The speed, the control, the smooth ride, and the stability that you get on these frames is really second to none. But that does come with a little bit of cost because of the weight of the setup as well as the length of the frame. Your maneuverability isn't quite as good as it would be with, say, a smaller frame and wheel setup. So all that being said, that's why I'm giving these frames a rating of 3.75 wheels out of 4. The Hydrogen Pro wheels are a great 110mm option if you have the budget. I really couldn't find anything I didn't like about them. The regular Hydrogens were my favorite wheel, but I think these just took the cake. And that's why I'm giving these wheels a rating of 4 wheels out of 4. If you guys have any questions about these frames or wheels, please let me know in the comments below. I'm happy to get back to you as soon as I can. If you guys like this video, you guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you ring that bell so you don't miss any of these uploads. And until next time, guys, just keep rolling.